And a very warm welcome to Argentina, round 6 of the World Rally Championship. A spectacular setting for this first of 3 special stadium runs, which will be showing live on Eurosport 2. My name's Carlton Kirby. You're very welcome. On board, the next 2, of course, super specials will be in the Cordoba Stadium. That's Friday and Sunday, which, of course, is the centre of proceedings. Tonight, however, we are some 400 miles southeast of where the main rally action will be. We're in Buenos Aires at the mighty River Plate Stadium for what promises to be rather a special event. 2.4 kilometres of super special to get things going here in Argentina. This venue, of course, known as Los Monumental, venue for the 1978 World Cup, where the likes of Mario Kempes up against Johnny Rep and Johan Neyskins, all that. Well, Argentinians love 3 things, they say: football, horses, and of course cars. And well, they have plenty of that this evening. Some questions being asked as to the wisdom of all of this, however. The drivers will fly up to Cordoba after this super special in Los Monumental, the River Plate Stadium, and the teams must then transport everything by road for the action, which starts, of course, tomorrow. So no doubt about the favourite, though, Sebastian Loeb, and he's one who has been asking the questions, going for a hat-trick of victories here in Argentina, fastest in the shakedown as well, and of course leading the championship standings after Ford were universally penalised in Portugal for running a rear windscreen that was not approved. It was too thin by ½ millimetre. Scrutineers find these things. Apparently the weight saving was about 100 grams, so no performance advantage was deemed to have taken place. Crowds have certainly turned out here, however, and they're just hoping to see perhaps Marcus Gronholm looking for a bounce to help himself and Ford just get back into things. He won here in 2003, but Sebastian Loeb is going for a hat-trick of victories on the run. There is the Drivers' Championship, with Sebastian Loeb leading Marcus Gronholm by that solitary point after, of course, those time penalties were imposed on the Ford Focus last time out. It meant that Marcus Gronholm lost top spot because of tumbling down the order, which is something of a shame for Ford, and particularly for Marcus Gronholm at 39. Could well be in his final year at the top flight. They say he's thinking about retirement. So that's how they stand for now. We're going to see all the boys in action in just a few moments' time. And there is the manufacturers' standings, with Ford still up there on top at 67 points. Citroën nearest to them on 59. The way Sebastian Loeb is running at the moment, you wouldn't bet against him eating into that lead on behalf of Citroën over the next few rallies. And he certainly looks very, very comfortable here. We told you he was fastest in shakedown, and he just loves running in Argentina, despite the fact that it has so many challenges out there. Not least the altitude, which, of course, reduced oxygen means reduced power. And so the idea is you have to keep the momentum going up there in the hills. And they do get high as well. The Mina Clavero and the El Condor, over 2,000 meters. Sometimes we get snow up there, can be icy. It's always very wet, and the 25 river crossings to contend with as well. So we're going to get underway here. It's kind of an unveiling, if you like, on behalf of, or for the crowds, I should say. And first out, we've got a couple of Subaru Imprezas for you. Number 37, it's Pavildes Spiros of Cyprus. His co-driver Denis Giraudet of France, of course, against Samarinan's Loris Baldacci and Silvio Stefanelli. So a rather unfamiliar look, perhaps, to the way that everything's lined up. They're effectively going away from each other. So very best of luck in keeping a split time in your head about these two. It'll be your first look at the course, 2.4 kilometres in total, and starting with the production boys first, and then we'll be on to the WRC fellas before you know it. So our first look at it, not bad stadium crowd here. It does hold around about 110,000. They have reduced the capacity to around 85. I reckon we've probably got about 55,000 in tonight. So the clock's running for us. Live timing, if you're on the WRC site, has let everybody down this evening, but has just hooked up. If you've been trying to get in, it is running now, so maybe you want to have a look at that and sign up. First look then, it's hardly a representative of the stages that they're going to be contesting out there. Little bit of a jump, however, nonetheless, but no water splash in this one, and they'll be having plenty of those when they get out into the hills of Argentina, out into the Pampas. 25 of them in all, so of course the co-drivers will have their work cut out in order to shut off the air intakes as they go through, transferring to an alternative air intake, of course, as they go through the waters. Timing absolutely of the essence, just as Peter Solberg, who got it very, very wrong a couple of rallies ago, a couple of seasons ago here in Argentina. It's a very narrow course, this, and it's 4 times around the 735 meters, making up a total of 2.4 kilometers for everybody here. And I suspect we may well be getting some kind of split time coming up. Don't forget, after they've finished 2, you'll get a first honest split, and then once they've finished 4 times by, it is, of course, the final time. Shame they're not running side by side, however. The first time we've seen this season that they're actually running away from each other. And as a result, you don't really get an impression of them coming towards the line at the same time, or at least facing the final curves together. But nonetheless, the timings will be honest by the time we get them. Baldacci, just a little bit too hesitant in there. They do matter an awful lot, these super specials, particularly at the beginning if you want early advantage. And Marcus Gronholm, of course, took that in Portugal at the wonderful stadium in Faro. I think really that was the way to do it. A terrific stadium event that was. It is nice and unstable out there, is it not? You see a little bit of rain, naturally enough, in Argentina this time of year. As the northern hemisphere heads for spring, they're heading into autumn, and so the rains are there, and well, woe betide anybody who gets it just a little bit wrong. Oh gosh, almost, and Spiros takes it in 2. 21.1. that is our benchmark for now. Well, Baldacci just almost a second adrift by the time they came back together. The warning flags, presumably, just in case they actually remodified the what looked like plastic-covered hay bales and got into each other. So there you go. As they continue to sell the beef sandwiches, etc. Quick look at the action here so far. Slightly disjointed, you have to say, with unfortunately them running away from each other. If you do get the wide view, it's much kinder to you. Unfortunately, that wide view is being given only to the spectators and not to us on our screens, which is something of a shame. Next up, we've got Sebastian Beltran against Travis Pastrana, and that'll be an interesting one. Travis Pastrana, of course, who does some amazing things. He just seems to be able to turn his hand to just about everything, the American. And you may remember him in the Race of Champions. He does love a bit of stadium action. He's in a Subaru Impreza here, and he's up against Sebastian Beltran, who, of course, is a local lad, Argentinian, and one of the main Argentine hopes. And he's on board his Mitsubishi Lancer. Yes, Travis Pastrana, he of the double backflip in the Extreme Games. And in fact, we've got, they've changed the order here. It's Ricardo Rojas who's going against him. And Pastrana seems to be... Oh, there he is. Do forgive me. Ricardo Rojas, of course, co-driver of Sebastian Beltran, just had a minor panic there, just for a moment. Yeah, Travis Pastrana, thank goodness he is he is here. Had a bit of worry there. He turned his hand to so much, but he loves stadium events as well on 4 wheels. Remember him in the Race of Champions? After, I think it was Jimmy Johnson pulled out, Travis Pastrana took on all-American duties, it seemed, at the Race of Champions, and was having to sprint between cars to actually just keep the American end up. And at one point we actually thought he was going to go on and win it. Didn't quite happen for him, but well, the effort involved was absolutely tremendous for Travis, and he's here in the Subaru Impreza, and I hope that we're going to stay with him. However, as the local boy is, Sebastian Beltran is in the Mitsubishi Lancer, the pale blue of Argentina. I suspect the cameras may well hog him. There we have it. So while Travis Pastrana does his stuff and goes off in exactly the opposite direction, a chance to look at the drift work by Sebastian Beltran. Well, it has been raining here. It's not a covered stadium, and so it is a little bit slippy on the surface here. So the times, if you get it a little bit wrong, can be wide apart here. Pastrana will be doing his level best to stay in touch here, and he really does love a challenge, does Pastrana, whether it be Extreme Games or Race of Champions or anything else that he's involved with. And Colin McRae came up against Pastrana in the States in something of a kind of a mock super special, slightly more dramatic, I have to say. It was on part of one of their extreme events, and Travis beat Colin. There you go. Colin did push him very, very hard indeed. But Pastrana was also beating some real class acts in the Race of Champions as well in Paris, which you saw live on Eurosport as well. And he's here involved in this one. However, the cameras, as we suspected, are just loving the Argentine Sebastian Beltran. Part of the Tango Rallye outfit and his Mitsubishi Lancer. And they've had a few entries, extra entries, if you like, courtesy of the Sporting Club of Automobile Sporting Club of Argentina. And here is Travis taking it nice and steadily, and that is the trick in Argentina. You can't push too hard. The limit will bite you back if you find it. And there's a huge mix indeed once we get up into the mountains of different kinds of speed and terrain, and it's being mirrored here by Travis. Beautiful drift there. Look at that for a powering round the corner. Absolutely brilliant. Great balance. Super competitive, Travis Pastrana, and never gives anything other than 100%. Well, they'll be heading back to the finish line in just a moment. I think they've got another 735 meters remaining here. 2:21.1, don't forget, is the split time, or is the time to beat, I should say. I expect Beltran will have a decent one here. How close will Pastrana get to him? Time's coming up for you right now, and we will get progressively quicker as we get towards the man with the yellow flag. Beltran, 2:17.7. Wow. Well, it just shows you local conditions and local knowledge pay dividends, and the crowd absolutely loving it. Well, super job by Beltran, and that's going to take some beating, you can be sure of that. And I suspect he may well have been allowed to practice. I didn't say that. Well, the top tier, as you can see, if you do get up to the top tier, really at the top, it sweeps so steeply up there that if you stand up and sort of take a tumble, you'd end up 7 or 8 rows further down. It really is quite heady up there, and it's going to be equally so when they get up into the mountains here in Argentina. Incidentally, the next couple of super specials, there'll be another one tomorrow, but it's in Cordoba, closer to the Villa Carlos Paz, so the service area for the rally itself. 400 miles away, 700 kilometers northwest of this point here in Buenos Aires. Travis Pastrana, nice to see just a little look at him. I'm sure we'll see an awful lot more of him during the rally itself. No doubt about it, though. Sebastian Beltran, he may well have hogged the cameras, but quite rightly so. So I've got Mirko Baldacci and Andreas Anya up next. Anya in the Mitsubishi Lancer, and the Subaru Impreza is Mirko Baldacci. While representing San Marino, as so many drivers do. Along with Giovanni Agnesi as his co-driver. The German Klaus Vicker is, of course, helping out Andreas Anya. So, a magnificent time set by Sebastian Beltran. Rather strangely, not featuring on the timing screens. I wonder whether he's just guesting. Well, we will see. So just holding us up while we come back from a commercial break by our hosts here. It is nice that you're getting to see it live on Eurosport 2, and you're very welcome indeed. We'll try our level best to bring you all of them as they pop up, these super specials, throughout the World Rally Championship. And of course you can keep in touch with highlights of every single day as it happens throughout each round of the WRC. So away they go. Good start by Anya. The Austrian kicking it out there. Not too busy with the hands, as you can see, and it's not too wide either, so wisely so. Well, absolutely no problem with altitude down here at Buenos Aires, closer to sea level by far than some of the stages that we're going to be running. They're over 2,000 meters. Special stage 19, I think it is Mina Clavero, and you've got El Condor, named after the bird itself, I suppose, both of which are over 2,000 meters, and the lack of oxygen up there has a dramatic effect on the operation of the engines. And the secret, according to Sebastian Loeb, who's won, of course, 2 Argentinian rallies, is that you just have to keep momentum. That's the absolute key, because you've got reduced power. If you actually do lose any kind of momentum, it's just so difficult to build the power back up again if the engine is being choked by the lack of oxygen at altitude. It's also cold, it's icy up there, and well, you've got the wildlife to look out for as well as the weather, and those 25 river crossings. It's quite something, the Rally of Argentina. 16 different winners since 1980, and over the 350 kilometers that make up these 22 specials that they're going to have to contend with. It's going to be, well, quite a rally indeed, through the 3 valleys of the Pampas, the Punilla, the Calamuchita and the Transiera. Just watch out for it, and of course you'll be able to keep in touch with it each night in terms of the highlights right here on Eurosport. So they're coming round, and the best time so far, 2:17.7. Although Sebastian Beltran's time, remarkably, hasn't appeared on the official timing sheets. And I'm just wondering why that is, whether he's just guessing. Here we go then. 2:18.4 for Baldacci. And Anya way down off the pace. 2.4 off indeed. So Baldacci it is. Of those who are appearing on the timing sheets, who leads us for now, although Sebastian Beltran's time of 2:17.7 still absolutely remarkable. Just see how the back end of these cars kicking out, and it does take an awful toll, the Rally of Argentina. We've seen that in the past. Remember Colin McRae back in 1998, he and Nicky Grist having it was I think that rally was won by Tommy Mäkinen, it was indeed, but Colin McRae with his Impreza making roadside repairs. One of the suspension struts, which is one of the major ones, was completely bent like a banana, according to Nicky Grist, and they had to smack it with a rock to straighten it out, reattach the wheel, and went on for a decent point-scoring finish in 1998. And although Mäkinen won, Colin McRae and Nicky Grist were thought of as absolute heroes, and Colin McRae's mechanics course is clearly paying dividends back then. Well, here is one of the ACA, the Automobile Club de Argentina, I think it means, nominated driver, nominated for points in the Argentine Championship. And there is indeed Beltran's score. Thank goodness for that. For some reason, it's not appearing on the WRC official timing sheets. I presume they've got their own reasons for that. So next up, we've got Federico Villagra, or Viagra. I wonder how he goes if his name is Viagra. Villagra, we'll call him. And Diego Corletto. And Federico Villagra, excellent driver, and won the N4 class back in 2006, last season, right here. So he knows his way around, and he is part of the Tango Rally team as well. That's him in his Mitsubishi Lancer, with Diego Corletto sitting next to him. So that's the Argentine challenge, and the Subaru Impreza, the white one, is Nasser Al-Attiyah, the reigning Production World Rally Class Championship, with Chris Patterson of Great Britain alongside him. Nasser, very, very handy driver in all forms of rallying. Does a lot of work, of course, in the Dakar as well. One of these multi-talented guys. He really is superb, the Qatari. Excellent sportsman, and a real beacon for the people of Qatar. Tremendous, incidentally, sporting heritage, Qatar, that they're starting to build. You say build? Yeah, absolutely. The facilities they have in that nation are outstanding. I was there in November, and I have to say, absolutely amazing what they're building down there. I think perhaps they're even considering an Olympic bid one day. And they've already got the facilities in place. We saw that at the Asian Games. Amazing stuff. And Nasser Al Attiyah, one of their superstars. Well, he's on course here, up against a little bit of local knowledge. And I just wonder whether Sebastian Beltran's time of 2:17.7 is going to come under threat here. There's the first split, 47.6. And Viagra is in the driving seat here. Well, you may well think, what local conditions? It's in a stadium, for goodness sake. Well, even here, just knowing about moisture and the way things settle down, and just the sand that they've actually used here, sort of gravelly sand, and it kind of mirrors the stages, the stage surfaces, at least in places, although of course nothing like the terrain that they're going to be facing out there in the hills of the Pampas. So your money surely has to be on the Argentine yet again here. Tidy jump by Attiyah, and keeping it nice and smooth as well. And it'll be the final time that is our benchmark, the measure. It's rather confusing if you look at splits on the opening lap, or indeed the third lap, because they haven't completed the same, if you like, distance, because they swap over halfway through. And here they come round for their final time. Quick look at each other. They'll be worn presumably with the man with the yellow flag in just a moment's time. And here comes Ilaga to 17.8. Well, Paul Al Attiyah, 3.4 seconds down yet again on another Argentine, and separated Viagra from Beltran by just a tenth of a second so far. Well, last time out, Marcus Grönholm really went for it in the stadium in Faro. And he took his advantage over Sebastian Loeb, who was being far more cautious, and really ran with it in Portugal. Unfortunately, Ford were penalised for that rear window, which turned out to not comply with regulations. It was 3 millimeters thick instead of 3.5, 3.5 millimeters thick. And believe me, that's about the width of one of your fingernails in terms of depth. 100 grams was saved. Wasn't any performance advantage, but nonetheless, it wasn't Ford's fault, they said. It was how the windows had been supplied, and everyone was given the parameters of what was required. But they did tumble down some of their drivers, including Grönholm, down the order after the penalties, time penalties, were added on. So a little crossing of himself for yet another Argentine, Marcus Legato, another ACA driver nominated for points here, Automobile Club de Argentina. He's co-driver Ruben Garcia, and alongside, racing for Sweden, is Patrick Flodin and Maria Andersson. So just waiting for us to get the timings sorted out yet again. So far in the event, it's 2 Argentines leading. However, according to Rallye Live and the WRC owned timing screens, it's Baldacci who will be taking the lead position so far. Loris Baldacci with a time of 2:22. So they're underway here again. Marcus Legato, special guesting here, courtesy of the local Automo Club, the ACA. up against Patrick Flodin, and I just wonder if, for once, one of the visitors, and I think it might happen, could get the better of one of the locals, and Legato just got a little bit wrong there. The rear end just hung out momentarily, and he clipped the wall. He's trying to make up time now, and that could be the last thing he needs to do, because if he's too heavy in, going to miss his exit. He's looking slightly ragged here. So a chance then for Patrick Flodin, and it's getting worse, it seems, for Legato. He may well save it. He's hit another of the barriers, and if you do disturb them too much, then you are going to suffer a penalty. Flodin leading at the second split. They both cover the same ground at splits 2 and 4. So Flodin taking advantage of the mistake by Marcus Legato. And desperately trying to make amends for it, Marcus, but it's not going to happen. Well, stranger things have happened, and he really is going for it at the moment. I suspect at the third split he may well be ahead, but it's an unbalanced split, having both of them haven't covered the same ground. They will have done by the time they come to a halt here. And again, just kissing the barriers. Nice drift that time, but keeping it nice and smooth is Patrick Flodin, and it's a huge lesson for Legato, for the event itself. Final time coming up. Target time 2:17.7 here. Final series of curves, and Patrick Flodin is keeping it nice and smooth. Maybe just a little bit too smooth. Feathering the accelerator, just delivering enough power to keep him on course and get him away on this very slippy surface. And a little bit of rain in places. Some parts of the course shrouded. 2:18.9 for Flodin. And Legato 1.6 down. Well, 2:18.9 for Flodin. Super job. And the crowd absolutely loving it. Plenty of jackets and jumpers on display. As we said earlier, if you're just joining us, they're, of course, naturally enough, heading into autumn as the Northern Hemisphere, of course, heads deeper and deeper into spring, with summer beckoning. Winter is beckoning in Argentina. So the Tango Rally team have had 3 of their vehicles on display so far. I think that might be job done as far as the Tango group are concerned. We have another local out next, and he has Christian Solberg to contend with. Christian, of course, leading the Production World Rally standings. Most consistent of the drivers, finishing on the podium twice, 3rd in Sweden, again in Mexico. No rally win yet for Christian Solberg within his class, but surely a matter of time, and maybe, just maybe, this is the place for him to do it. He's up against Gabriel Pozzo of Argentina. A lot of Italian names in the Argentine, of course. He's a local driver on, yet again, Mitsubishi. Subaru Impreza of Christian Solberg and his co-driver Risto Kotilainen. There he is. Well, they had a great run in Sweden, of course, and they loved it in Mexico as well. So back to the Americas, and maybe a little bit of successes in the air for the Finn. Finns quite often love an unstable surface, and it's certainly that here in Argentina. Very slick and slippy, and it seems to suit those who've done a good deal of their driving each year in the snowy conditions of Finland. They know all about water splashes as well, the Finns. 1,000 lakes, aptly named, despite the fact there's probably a couple of million lakes in Finland. I remember when we were up there, it was absolutely stunning. And when you do get to Finland, it really is a shock. If you go, I don't know, sort of second week of August, there's already that feeling that autumn is on its way. So short is the summer proper in Finland, it seems. Beautiful country, however, wonderful people as well, hugely welcoming. And if you ever do get a chance to go to the Thousand Lakes Rallye, as it used to be known, absolutely stunning. Some big jumps, lots of water. Well, not quite so many jumps, but they certainly have got a lot of water crossings here in Argentina. And that surface, as we said, is very, very slick out there. As you carry on watching Gabriel Pozzo for Argentina, as Christian Solberg does his stuff, trying to keep in touch, but is 0.6 down on the local driver just for now. Huge logistics to actually get the drivers to, and the vehicles, I should say, back up those 400 miles after this event. As you can see, lights ablaze, and it is the evening. The days are shorter as our days get longer down in the southern hemisphere. And as a result, it's going to be a long nighttime drive for a lot of these vehicles and their mechanics to get them in place for competition proper tomorrow. It's many questions have been asked, particularly Sebastian Loeb, I notice, asking a few questions in this week's Eurosport. Well, hopefully he'll be happy and settled after his performance a little bit later on. Sebastian coming up in around about 35-40 minutes time. We will be picking our way through the WRC contenders as soon as the production boys have finished their jobs here. So Pozzo coming around for his time, should be handy. Kept it nice and straight there. Oh, Christian, little kick out. And again, testing the width here, most certainly. Christian Solberg on a jump. Pozzo's finished with a 2:21.2. And nothing particularly to write home about. Good looking car. And the lights are gone, and so are they. Now this will be interesting. Toshi Arai loved his run in Mexico. Said he's more than looking forward and happy with conditions here. Everyone's been busy in the shakedown, of course. I've already told you earlier on in the programme that Sebastian Loeb quickest in the shakedown, incidentally. Nearest to him, Petter Solberg, who with his slightly updated Subaru Impreza seems to be running very well indeed. Toshi with a slightly lesser machine, though no less impressive in his hands, you have to say. Just back to that shakedown news, by the way. Marcus Grönholm third quickest, and it was Danny Sordo just behind, ahead of Henning Solberg. So Henning as well keeping the Solberg end up, as it were, for the Norwegians. Interesting to see how Henning gets on here. He really is a poor surface specialist. Petter just more of a broader church, really. Little jump, slightly nosed in there, Toshi. Don't damage the car here, for goodness sake, because repairs as well as that trip will give you a very tired workforce, that's for sure. Much busier, both of these drivers. Just kicking it out, setting up the drift beautifully. Perfect exit there. Toshi doing great work here. Hanainen, likewise. Surely has to be Toshi Arai's day, this one. Never count the Finns out, though. So the time coming up. Timing line approaching for both of these, and anybody's guess, 2:19 for Arai, 2:19 dead, with Hanainen almost 2 seconds adrift. So Toshi Rai lays claim to being production top dog for the time being. And I suspect some of the production boys may well feature high up the overall standings as well. That was when he nosed in. Slightly worried for him. Don't damage it before you get it out of here, that's for sure. Well, he's filling in, of course, for Anton Allen, who's signed up for Fiat, leaving Subaru just a little bit out of sorts. The Lukoil sponsored car. And McShay, ooh, first few curves in anger, and he's getting close to those barriers. I know a few of you will be shouting at the screens for him. We want him to do well. It's great to see him back in action. I just hope he rides these curves beautifully here. Certainly competitive, as always, and he looks quick, doesn't he? I think this could be our new benchmark time, and I certainly hope so for him. He's wrestling it just a little bit. Had to correct before the end of that curve. McShay's on course. Blow those whistles and clear everybody. He's coming through. Nutahara trails him by 0.5, and it's a good sub 48 for McShay at that point. Now interviewed by Autosport again, just saying how he'd missed and really thought that maybe it was the end of his career, but as it is, he's been given second life, and here he is racing and loving it. It's good to see him in action. Another nose in. Well, clearly it's to be taken at speed, but did you notice with Toshi Rai, when they were in mid-air, the brake lights were on. Brakes aren't that effective in mid-air. Just watching McShay's lines, he's keeping it beautifully smooth. Look at that, absolutely superb. Setting it on the jump for the next curve. Slightly ragged through there. Nothing too bad, though. And the line beckons. 2:17.6, and he's our leader. Absolutely brilliant. Now McShay is back, and he means business, and that's good news for everyone who loves rallying. Super job. Well, what do you know? Now McShay, once bossing the production class, and he's come out here. First time a clock's been run against him, and look at that, superb. Well, we look at Fumio Nutahara, but I'm so pleased for Niall McShay there, and the 2:17.6 is a very, very handy time, and he's going to have a decent starting order after that, you can be sure. And I'm just wondering whether some of those who are about to follow will get anywhere near him. Absolutely superb. He really pushed it all the way there. And what was nice as well, you saw that it was possible for him to have actually gone quicker. He scored points on 3 separate occasions, so watch out for the Stobbard. Maybe, just maybe, it's the one to watch. Good launch by both of these. And indeed the cameras are staying with Latvala, and why not? The 22-year-old be in the top 5 3 times, don't forget. Just I beg your pardon, on most of the stages. I'm just misreading my notes. In Portugal, it was absolutely on it, just permanently it seemed, and if it hadn't been for that rear window measurement, then the poor lad would have finished in 6th place. As it was, he finished in 9th spot. Absolutely brilliant. In 5th consistently in that rally, and maybe it'll be the same this time around. We're just looking at the Munchies outfit of Reyes. And he's got the better of him now, 47.6, and that's quicker, I have to say, at that split than McShay was. Reyes just losing the back end momentarily there in the Munchies machine. Good work by both of these, and very well matched vehicles, as you'd expect. Well, the team manager of these boys, Arnie Christie, won here in '95, of course, on a Lancia Delta HF himself, so knows his way around Argentina, and he'll be helping the likes of Juan Pablo Reyes, Jari-Matti Latvala. Well, Latvala says what he's learned to do is not push too hard, and what he's aiming for in Argentina, he says, is a top 8 finish. Well, the top 8 finish should be within his grasp, but it just shows you that, mentally speaking, he's starting to just get a little bit more sensible, and that's exactly what Stobbart wants. Great support from the trucking outfit. Here's the time. 2:16.7 for Reyes, and you hear what the crowd think about that. Absolutely brilliant, but Latvala so close, 0.2 down. Well, absolutely brilliant stuff. Juan Pablo Reyes brings the Ford Focus RSWRC around in 2:16.7. Nobody's gone quicker. He's a veteran out there. Started way back in 1992 on this rally, and well, as you see, wear spectacles, but no need for a stick just yet. We're going to take ourselves a short break, and we'll be back with Luis Perez-Companc and Maddie Wilson, who are both out next.
Coming up in...
And welcome back. The 11 car is Luis Perez-Companc. We've just seen his brother George in action, of course, driving alongside Juan Pablo Reyes, who's set the benchmark time so far of 2:16.7, and Matthew Wilson, who of course got his inaugural World Rally Championship points last season, you may remember, at the age of 19, so he loves Argentina. Oh, no! Well, Luis Perez-Companc just rear-ending it there, and this is going to play into the hands of Matthew here. It's Stobbart versus Munchies. Two Fords are out there yet again. And Perez-Companc just smacking the rear end, but this, oh, and again, and it's going from bad to worse for him. Well, he almost rode up the banking there. And they're staying with him, however. I imagine we're going to have a quick look at Matthew Wilson in a moment if this gets any more embarrassing. And it does. Oh, dearie me. Well, Luis Perez-Companc, he's had a bit of a disjointed season, you have to say. His brother Pablo, of course, racing in the Indy Pro Series, suffered a terrible crash. And, well, the news from Miami is that he's okay. But you may remember the brothers, both George, who was co-driving with Reyes earlier on, and of course Luis. They went to be at his bedside, expecting him to, expecting the worst. But it does seem he's going to make a full recovery, Pablo, which is great news for them. And they've also been given the chance of point scoring in the Rally Deutschland because they missed out on Portugal. So that's it's great that the organisers have allowed them to do that. Essentially just not ruining their season because of the family reasons, quite rightly. Matthew Wilson here, however, is the man in control, and Luis Perez-Companc has had an absolute bum run here, and it gets worse. Look at this, he's just trying a little bit too hard, and there's too much wheel spin and not enough drive at all. It's all about keeping it smooth, and he should know this. He's local, but Matthew Wilson is going to beat him here, and he's going to beat him by a goodly margin. And wouldn't it be terrific if he could shut the crowd up here and just come in under 2:16.7. It's a big ask, however, for Matthew in the 16 car. The camera's staying with Luis Perez-Companc here, waiting for him to hit another barrier, and he does. 2:13.1, absolutely brilliant for Matthew Wilson. Well, we've got no control over the cameras out there, Paris Compact, despite just about remodeling the entire course, just 1.9 down on that time. But Matthew Wilson, 2:13er as well. And ouch. Well, remodifying the car right from the off. Thankfully, the Munchies crew with not a whole lot to do. But it could have been a lot worse. And even in the replay, we don't get to see Matthew Wilson, despite the fact he set the benchmark time out there. Well, you know where to write to your complaints. Not here. It's not our fault. We just take the pictures we can get and we give them to you. We're at the hands of the local broadcaster, and unfortunately Matthew Wilson's best time so far, 2:13.1, the benchmark out there not being shown to us in action, which is a bit of a shame. Sweden didn't score in Norway or in Portugal, and of course finished in 5th place in Mexico. So maybe hoping for better things. Henning Solberg, however, 5th in the shakedown, is expecting an awful lot. He hates these super specials. I've seen him drop a clutch once and just watch the clock tick away from him. And it was sad. I think he was on for a podium position when that happened as well. Well, he's here now. 7th he finished in 2006, Henning Solberg. So he loves the conditions, and he's going for it here in the expert badged up Stoddard machine. Giving it plenty here. Both of these drivers, as you'd expect, they're going to be up there towards the top of the timing sheets, both of them. Oh, Henning just almost lost the back end, and look at the speed that Chris has got coming in here. Absolutely brilliant, solid as a rock through that curve, no mistake whatsoever. Oh, this is great, and you're seeing Subaru at its best here. They finally managed to iron out so much, it seems, and well, maybe Chris can just start afresh here, draw a line under all the speculation about his future, and just set himself a target. It surely has to be a podium and nothing less. Chris Atkinson in the Subaru up against the Ford Focus of Henning Solberg, both of them motoring well here. Oh, beautiful control. Well, no wonder they speak so highly about Atkinson. Well, there'll be no shortage of contracts if things ever did separate with Subaru on offer for Chris Atkinson. Suzuki wanted to step up, of course, to the WRC top flight. Testing at the moment, and well, the rumours were that he'd been tempted, or at least in talks. Completely denied by Subaru, and indeed by Chris Atkinson's agent. We will see. Our 3rd year in the World Rally Championship. And look at that, 2:11 dead. 3rd year indeed. And Henning Solberg, 2nd quickest so far, just 0.5 adrift of that time. 2:11 dead. For Chris Atkinson, he really was on it, wasn't he? Yeah, 3rd year in the top flight. Using the banking, as it were. Or maybe it's the secret. Well, Henning close to him, just half a second down. And Stefan Prevost. I don't know how much the co-drivers have to do on a super special such as this. Glenn McNeil's gone. Stefan Prevost has stepped in, and clearly they're enjoying each other's company, at least. Chris Atkinson, 2:11. Absolutely brilliant. Well, what a trim that was. Absolutely superb. And that will bode very well for Sub at long last. Well, there's been a long climb back up the rankings, as it were. Well, they reckon they're there now. Let's see how he goes round here. Pedder loves to showboat. Well, they've been in the points 6 out of the last 7 years here in Argentina, and there's no reason to suspect that they won't be amongst the points again, and they may, just maybe, in with a chance of a podium and perhaps even victory here. Subaru really have got it together on the looser surfaces in particular. Look at that for intent. Unbelievable. Petter Solberg isn't sparing the machinery at all here. He wants this. He loves to showboat. They call him Hollywood. That's his nickname. The crowds adore him. Danny Sordo here is really going for it in the C4. The only truly new car on the circuit. And they put silver sort of vision shields on the side there. I think it's to protect from the glare of the spotlights here in the Buenos Aires River Plate Stadium. And look at the traction as they come through here. Well, the C4 has been absolutely unbelievable. We've pointed out to you before the position of those wing mirrors. You see they're halfway down the door as opposed to where you'd normally expect them, in the corner of the little A-frame, just like the Subaru there, normal wing mirrors. The driver sits so far back in the C4. It's tremendous balance, and it's paying off for them clearly. The Subaru have made amendments to the vehicle. They were waiting until Mexico to get it underway, and Solberg has declared himself absolutely delighted with it. Loves the team, and they love him as well. And really, you can't imagine Petter Solberg driving for anybody else, although, of course, Ford had their hands on him for a while. Lots of arguments now long forgotten. And there's Atkinson's best time. Oh, look at that. Sordo, 2:09.1. Well, despite the fact that we're showing you Petter Solberg, it was Danny Sordo who's come in at 2:09.1 here. Moved up to a podium position, of course. Sordo with Ford's problems last time out. Manufacturing problem meant that Ford's rear window was just 0.5 millimetre too thin. It was 3 mil instead of 3.5 mil. And as a result, there was 5-minute penalties handed out across the board, and it really did compromise an awful lot of runs out there. And in fact, it meant that Marcus Grönholm and Sebastian Loeb swapped places in the general rankings, with Marcus picking up, or finishing in 4th place ultimately. 34, and they've had a long running relationship together in rallies. 2 second places, you may remember. 2005 they finished 2nd in Cyprus, then last year 2nd in Wales. Amazing. And Ilka said that's just highlights of her career. Well, Manfred Stoll, the real old stage, it's his 10th run here in Argentina for Manfred. Best result for Mikko Ervinen, 4th in 2004. Says it's like driving on the moon when you're in Argentina. I suppose he means it's high and difficult, dusty in places, slippy in other. I don't know where on the moon you could describe it as slippy, but there you go. There's the first split for you, and it's a good one. Remember when we were saying 47 looked good? 44.4 for Ervinen. This is quick. 26 years of age now, driving or co-driven by Jarmo Leidinen. And both of them really full on here. Very nice and tight there from Ervinen. Nose absolutely hugging the inside line. Stoll also gunning it here in the Citroen Zara, the Kronos machine. Been together with Ilka since 2001. So 6 years in the making, and they've had some terrific results as well. Nice lazy drift from Manfred Stoll. 2:09.1 is the time to beat here. And And if you're just joining us, you are in Buenos Aires, 400 miles, 700 kilometers away from where most of this rally will be contested. 2:08.3 for Irvine, and he's gone quickest. Sebastian Loeb. There's a whole host of Group N boys still to come, N4. But I think next up is our final run. So Irvine is going to start at least third quickest tomorrow. He'll be third on the road, or third best time, depending on how they send them out. Next up, it's Marcus Gronholm, all 39 years of him, and Sebastian Loeb, all 3 titles to him. Amazing. But Marcus would love to get another title to add to his record. They're coming out now, the crowd ever appreciative. Marcus, of course, won Argentina back in 2003, as we still look at Mo6 and the Citroën C4 of Sebastian Loeb. Such a dominant combination, Loeb and Citroën. And you just can't pick the bones out of this one. You just do not know who's going to have the upper hand. It was Marcus last time out in Portugal in the opening Super Special to set himself up for that rally. Sebastian, though, absolutely remarkable on all surfaces. The thing he talks about most of all is his problems in Norway, always focusing on the negative. I suppose when you've got so much positive going on, then that's where your focus must lie. 31 rally wins for Sebastian Loeb, 3 world titles. It's absolutely remarkable. Marcus, of course, had those back-to-back titles and would love another one to add to his tally. Lights ablaze for both of these, and Marcus is in the driving seat so far. Swinging it out and showing the sparks as well. Well, being demoted from 2nd to 4th really stung Marcus last time. Should have had 8 points. As it was, picked up 5 and gave up the lead in the championship race. He would have led by 2. He now trails by 1. Loeb on 38 points, Marcus Gronholm on 37. And so this rally is going to mean an awful lot to both of them. 3 wins so far in 2007 for Sebastian Loeb. 1 in Monte Carlo, in Mexico, and in Portugal. There's Irvine's time, 2:08.3. 2:08.9. He'll be 2nd on the road tomorrow. Gronholm, Sebastian Loeb, only 5th quickest here. Hang on for any more this evening. But Marcus Gronholm and Sebastian Loeb have certainly done their stuff tonight, and the crowd are well pleased. They'll be popping off for a little steak, I imagine. So Marcus Gronholm, 2nd quickest here. Mikko Irvinen also in the Ford Focus, and it bodes well for Ford, does it not? Well, they want to turn, of course, the manufacturer's title into the driver's title yet again. And you suspect it may well just happen. Sorry if my maths was a bit awry earlier on. So we're just going to stay with for a couple more of these rounds of some of the club races, if you like. And the Monte Carlo light arrangement on the Mitsubishi Lancer. Well, while they busy themselves, let me just tell you that you can keep in touch with the rally throughout. Just check your press for details of when your highlights programs are on. And don't forget, we will be live on Eurosport 2 For the Super Special tomorrow, we'll be back up to the Cordoba Stadium, both tomorrow, that's Friday, and again on Sunday. It's a long old schlep for everybody, and you can see the times are around about 4 seconds off the top times at that second split for these club chaps. Yeah, it's a long, long way. They've got a lot of travelling to do after these small matter of 2.4 kilometres of the Super Special here at the River Plate Stadium in Buenos Aires. It's the long run up for the engineers and the crews to get the cars all the way up to the Cordoba area, and of course the Villa Carlos Paz service area, so that we can get underway with this magnificent event, the Rally of Argentina. 16 winners since 1980. It's perhaps more than, or fewer than you would have thought. There's been a number of repeat wins, of course, and one of those is Sebastian Loeb, who's going for his hat-trick here. So something to watch out for. He certainly looked smooth and wasn't certainly pushing himself to the absolute limit on this one. He and Marcus Grönholm testing each other, but it's Mikko Irvinen who will lead us off tomorrow. So it'll be a good day for Ford, perhaps. We will wait and see. The Argentinian rally always throws up so much. It really is an absolute thrill. So, Dorozinski. Next up, we've got Poland's Leszek Kusac and Jarek Baran on Subaru Impreza, and they will face the Italians in a Mitsubishi Lancer of Stefano Marini and co-driven by Nicolas Garcia. Incidentally, no Gigi Galli. He got a podium here last year. Yes, Amont Racing have withdrawn due to lack of funds, or problems getting themselves funded for 2007, which is something of a shame, you have to say, to see them not taking part. I'm just wondering if we're going to get to see Stefan Wojciech, who picked up his first 0.3 for Mikko Irvinen. It was super to see him back in action. I'm sure you'll agree. So rolling once again here. Leszek Kusac in the Subaru and Stefano Marini in the Mitsubishi. And Kusac working hard here. Front wheels fighting for not just grip but direction. He's keeping it reasonably smooth nonetheless. It's funny how some drivers have a very frantic driving style. Well, just a little bit too frantic there. See him snaking round the corner, just losing it, and then having to re-find the line here. And, well, clearly this is going to be a big time. Yeah, you compare the likes of, let's say, Colin McRae is very, very relaxed when he's behind the wheel. And someone like Gilles Panizzi, who's a complete madman. It's spectacular, the differences. And the open-mouthed styles of Marcus Grönholm and Peder Solberg, almost in awe of the horizon that's before them, almost like they're watching television. There's an awe-struck teenager. It's amazing, just totally fearless out there. Well, I've been working hard, the Subaru of Kusac, and I have to say that Stefano Marini looks a lot smoother. Slightly nose heavy there. Didn't take it flat. Lovely drive off that corner, which caused Leszek or Kusac so much trouble earlier on. And the Mitsubishi looks steady. Or maybe it's the fact that it's a car that Mr. Tommy Mäkinen helped develop. Winner here, of course, in 96, 97 and 98. Tremendous performance by him. And a real credit to Tommy Mäkinen. The Mitsubishi Lancer Evo has stayed more or less similar since then. Tremendous. 2:15.2.